Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's weekly musings is grief, fish tanks, and upgrades. Trigger warning, there's mention of unaliving in this. It's a tough week. Two people we knew died on Monday, and I'll have to say it might have been quite a welcome party in heaven. This isn't what I meant to talk about, but I will. I have been suicidally depressed at times in my life. When I was 16, I took a massive overdose and ended up in a coma for 3 days. I wasn't trying to kill myself, but the pain had gotten so bad, I didn't know how else to express it. When I left my first marriage, the holidays were excruciating, and nothing looked better than slipping off a ferry boat into the Puget Sound. Things began turning around when my friend died. The grief was unbearable, and yet I was getting constant input from him. I got the awareness that we are always connected as consciousness, and our lifetimes pass in the blink of an eye. The physical realm is like a big swimming pool, and dying is like getting out of the pool when swim time is over. I could have had another 50 years in the pool, so why not enjoy splashing about? It wasn't so easy. It took several more months to realize that 90% of my thoughts were negative. During most of the day, I would tell an imaginary audience my stories of all the terrible things that were happening. I had to figuratively grab myself by the ears and redirect my thoughts to positive things. However, after only a couple of weeks, I found myself lifting out of a depression that I had been in for over a decade. Now, I'm not saying that you can bring yourself out of depression just by changing your thoughts. Sometimes people need help with their brain chemistry and should talk to their medical health specialist for recommendations. Where's the bit about fish tanks? So this is kind of strange. I don't mention fish tanks. I don't mention upgrades. I wonder if part of this got deleted by mistake. What can I say about fish tanks and upgrades? So I can say a lot about fish tanks because I just finally let go of a fish tank because we're planning to move to Spain eventually, and I hadn't had any live fish in it for a while. But it had that fish tank since like 2014, and it's now 2025. So plus early in my first marriage, I had a fish tank, and then I ended up having two fish tanks because I came home from vacation once and found that two of the fish in this community tank had had babies. I didn't know which two. I just know the angelfish started killing everybody, and finally they were African cichlids. So I moved them all to a separate fish tank to keep them safe. And then one was upstairs, one was downstairs, and we had a really horrible cold winter and the power went out, and the fish tank upstairs ended up freezing because it was by a window that had a crack in it. I hadn't realized. So you go through a lot of losses and life and deaths when you have pets in general, but a fish tank is like your own little community. And with this one, I'd had several cycles of fish in it get ick or different things, and finally we were down to one final fish. And when it died, I just kept the fish tank going because I had some really good plants in it. And I just gave that away on Facebook. And interestingly enough, I must have been over $200 worth of supplies I gave with it as well, and they never said thank you. So I don't know if it broke in the car on the way home to their house. I don't know. So anyway, fish tanks and upgrades. Well, we are all going through a tremendous upgrade, and that can be extremely painful for people because you are letting go of the past. One of the things that happens when you go through an upgrade is sometimes you do feel like you are dying or you feel like you want to die because your reality is changing. So it really helps to step back and view what is going on from the perspective of consciousness, because when you can see things from a bigger picture, then it becomes easier for you to navigate and lovingly help your small self through the experience. Because if you realize that you are consciousness, you are infinite, you are magnificent, this is not your only lifetime, you have been through amazing things in parallel lives, past lives, future lives. You've been through amazing things, and so you can get through this one as well. And if you've had any experiences like that, please leave me a comment below because I'd love to read your comments. I didn't really talk too much about grief, except that I did talk about grief in that it was extremely unbearable. I still don't feel like I have a good handle on expressing grief. I'm so much more better at soldiering on and getting through, but mainly because I have people who depend on me. I haven't had the opportunity to really collapse in grief because there wasn't anybody there to hold me up. I do remember when I was taking care of my mother that I kept thinking I was postponing the grief because I didn't feel grief when she passed away. I felt amazement because suddenly everything in the world was brighter, and really like her light had transmuted into everything around. And so I never really missed her because she's always still here. But there are some other things, like I'm on this island where I often have the opportunity to drive past the house that both my children were born in, and that was a really difficult thing to lose. But I have to say the trees have grown up so much I can't really see that house anymore. So, the thing in life is as we get older, we have to get used to losing things and letting go of things and letting go of people. And honestly, I may have just read this or I read this in a previous blog post, but we're all connected, whether we're physically together or not. As consciousness, we're all together. We're all ultimately one. All the people who've passed in my life, I can feel them and they are still here in some way, shape, or form. I hope I filled in all the bits that I have in the title that were not in the blog post and also relate to the things that are going on in the world today, because we are going through tremendous changes and it is really challenging. And hopefully my videos can help you through it. Also, if you look below, I have a free consciousness technique, the skybox technique, and that will help you get a bigger picture of what's going on in your life today and help you navigate the changes that you're going through. So if you like these videos, please share them with your family and friends and on your social media. And please leave a comment below, click the heart button, the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and all these things. Tell the algorithm to share this far and wide and get this out to someone who really needs to see this information. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. So go to joan-newcomb.com and I'll see you next week in another Weekly Musings.